Hey, I just recorded this whole thing. It takes me 3 minutes and 20 seconds to say anything that you might care about at all. Just skip ahead. Just skip ahead.
Okay, I went a little off the rails with that one I just uploaded just before this one. I did go a little off the rails. I stand by the things I said. I would say all of them again, with a quieter voice though. I would say all of them again in a tone that doesn't sound like I'm wearing a tinfoil hat and waving a gun around. I stand by the ideas. Approach could be calmer. See, this is why I don't like recording things without prepared notes. My process of translating my abstract thoughts into words is a lot of pulling from different ideas that are floating around in my head and trying to catch them and string them together to form one coherent thought. And when I have to do that out loud on the spot, what comes out of my mouth makes me sound like I'm having some sort of episode. And then that's worsened when trying to address multiple ideas simultaneously while also already having the intensity behind my voice when I'm talking about something that I care about deeply. It just all comes out very disorganized, and my frustration at failing to articulate my thoughts smoothly off the cuff is audibly evident. And that makes the sound even worse. So my rants really are difficult to listen to, but I said I wanted to rant. And rant I did. Some will call it a crash out, and they will be right, and I think I deserved one. What a way to come back. Hey, so I talked about all that stuff that I've been thinking about, stuff I've been agonizing over, stuff that's been happening to me and my family. Now I want to tell you some of what I've been up to, which is not unrelated to the big situation, but it's also distant enough from it that an outside observer, such as yourself, would probably view it as entirely separate. During Judah's absence, I have not slowed down. We, my husband and I, as well as our community, understood from the start that it was necessary for us to not break down, because Judah's well-being depended in part on us maintaining the stability of our family and continuing to build a future for him even in the middle of the tragedy. And we did wobble for a second in the beginning, because how could we not in a situation such as this one? But we have conditioned ourselves to function. Last time Judah was here, I was trying to get my bachelor's in psychology with the goal of pursuing my master's and studying neurobiology, and I'm done with all that. We wanted to finish making our house a home. We're done with all that. We aimed to have another child by the time Judah turned 4, so they would be able to grow up together, and we did welcome another child. We were really expecting Judah to be home by the time they were born. As for our creative projects, both individual and shared, my husband and I sold all of them. It did not and has not felt right for us to pursue artistic endeavors while existing in a constant state of mourning. So as for what I'm doing now, after all that time of study aimed at a career in psychology or social work, Strive. I co-founded a humanitarian organization called Strive. My official title is Director of Coordination, because titles can be helpful. However, the title is deliberately vague because the role is far from restrictive. Here's the thing about Strive, and I will put our greatest vulnerability front and center. We are not an LLC. We are not a corporation. We are not a registered nonprofit. We're just a group. We're just a bunch of dudes. We chose a name and a web domain because those things can be functionally helpful, but we're just a group of dudes, and our one goal is to help people in whatever form that takes. That it is not restrictive. We are not bound by the rules, laws, and technicalities of a business or some other type of institution. Legally, our assets are individually owned, and we report accordingly on our personal taxes. In practice, we sort of ignore the concept of individual ownership, specifically as it pertains to the resources we use for Strive's purpose. There's no mine, there's no IOUs or proprietary claims. Resources are deployed solely based on our collective consensus of where they are needed most, and regardless of whose name is on the account from which those resources are pulled. Nobody owes them back for it. Our biggest vulnerability of not being a registered anything and just being a collective of individuals is a deliberate trade-off. We are trading the concept of our own legal protection for agility, for the freedom to help whoever, however, and in whatever capacity. Most of us doing this have experienced, whether as social workers or volunteers or as individuals seeking aid, a broken system of social services. It's a bureaucratic maze, including hours of phone calls, just telling you to call the other phone numbers and applications that demand that your specific crisis fit into a very specific category of crisis, and that you can only have that specific crisis at specific dates and specific times. It just reduces the idea of a crisis to data points, and we refuse to operate that way. We are a group of individual people with a mission to help other people. I need to take a breath in between sentences. I sound like I'm going to pass out. We say humanitarian organization because that is the term that's understood by people that succinctly describes what we do, especially when we have things like a physical headquarters and a website and cards with our contact information on them. But we don't think of ourselves as any sort of institution. We're dudes. We're dudes helping dudes. And if we want to treat people as humans and not faceless numbers, then it's necessary for us to be human people and not a faceless agency. It's mostly people within our local community who we help, but truly anybody who reaches out to us, we do not turn away. More often than not, we work with women and children fleeing and recovering from domestic violence, individuals navigating unexpected pregnancies, and individuals facing unlawful and unethical treatment by ICE. We're not bound to those specific issues. Those are just the ones that we tend to be asked to help with the most. Some of us bring legitimate expertise and professional backgrounds, and some of us have no degrees at all. The principle we operate on is combining everybody's resources and backgrounds and skills and just devising actionable game plans for everybody who comes to us, and then walking with them through the execution of said game plan until they no longer need the support. And then checking in with them later, because we're not an organization and this is not a job and we will not be written up by HR for the oh-so unethical practice of forming a friendship with people who ask us for help. These aren't customers. We are building a community here, and you have no obligation to stay in touch once we get you where you need to be if the help was all you wanted, but we're certainly not just going to drop you off somewhere with a wad of cash and never check in with you again. After a crisis, you're a human person, and we want to know how you're doing if you want to share with us. Originally, my primary day-to-day was a lot of organizing and hands-on execution of people's game plans. I personally connected people with the advocates I believed were best equipped to support them. I gathered physical resources. I pooled funds to deliver directly. I made calls and found answers myself, rather than handing a person who's already in the middle of a crisis a list of phone numbers and forcing them to spend days on hold hearing "we can't help you" back to back to back to back to back. It's a lot of coordination and then actively aiding in the execution of a concrete plan of action for everybody who came to us for support. And then ICE activity spiked dramatically in our community. So my day-to-day, as well as the day-to-day of nearly the entirety of our original team, shifted to showing up in person to advocate for people being targeted. And while we have since grown in numbers and established a more structured rotation of who's quote-unquote on call at any given time, there was a period of pure immediacy. Everybody had a go bag at all times, ready to board a plane if a call came in the middle of the night about a detention. It's a lot. It was a lot. It is a lot. My role at Strive, and very specifically my responsibilities related to ICE activities, has organically transitioned into transcription of legal proceedings, as well as transcription of other things, and managing sensitive documentation. And that eventually further transitioned into journalism and broadcasting. which you wouldn't believe right now because I'm talking like somebody's gonna shoot me if I don't get all the words out fast enough. I don't know why I do this when I come back to the internet. I don't know why I'm like this online. I'm sorry. Whatever, none of these things felt new as I started doing them. Each step was just an extension of the work I have already been doing. Journalism has become enough of my job that it now serves as my simplified answer when asked what I do, even though it's a form of journalism that does not offer any financial compensation. I regularly, and I mean as often as possible, I am constantly working on what could accurately be called investigative journalism. I produce this independently. I produce for several different papers under several different names, none of which I will disclose here. I've also been recording audio of this information. It's all just the same journalism and different forms of publishing it or just getting it out there. This work is where most of my time goes. The focus has shifted entirely to, one, addressing the tragedy that my son is facing, which is a tragedy that our entire family is facing as a result. And the process of addressing the root cause of that tragedy has revealed to me the overwhelming scale of the global catastrophe that we're all living in the face of. And I simply cannot bring myself to dedicate my days to anything that is not just trying to change all of these terrible things through direct action every single day. I mean, the terrible things that are happening to my son and to the people in my community, just every single tragic thing that crosses my path that is the result of this nationwide catastrophe, which is the result of a global catastrophe, this whole bad thing, I just can't be bothered to spend my time doing anything that isn't directly intervening with all of these problems that are right in front of me. You know what I mean? Because there aren't a whole lot of forces working against these atrocities in a way that is very effective, but I'm able and I'm willing and I'm here. I'm contributing in the ways that I'm able, and I'm alive, and what am I to do with my life if not this? That's how I think about it. So, journalism. Unpaid journalism. That's what I've been up to. And this applies to everybody at Strive. Not the journalism part. Everybody is unpaid. What am I supposed to do with every waking second of my life except for do something about this? That's everybody on the team. As I said, we're not a business. We are not employers or employees. There are no tracked hours or salaries. All the resources are drawn from our personal possessions or found through our network, and we're just doing this whenever a situation warrants it. That's our schedule. All the funding is pooled from our own pockets. We hold fundraisers for specific causes, and 100% of the money goes directly to the individuals in need of support. Regarding taxes, funds are, I think, technically accepted as personal gifts or donations by the individual member receiving them. I don't know. I'm not the tax guy. None of it's illegal. It gets done right. That's what I know. I don't do it. Every cent raised goes directly to the people we help. That's what I know. If it's not paying for resources or food or bills or hotels or pregnancy tests or phones or whatever, we are handing them direct financial support in the form of cash if we're not spending it on any of those kinds of things I just listed, because we so often come across situations of people attempting to flee DV and their accounts are frozen. A lot of people just don't have bank access or bank accounts at all, so we sometimes handle large sums of cash, but still nothing we do is shady. It's all direct aid. It's all dudes helping dudes. That's what we're trying to do. And a lot of the way I'm trying to do that is by finding stuff, documenting it, broadcasting it, or otherwise publishing it, posting it, because that's what I'm able to do. That's the contribution I'm able to make. If you have personally asked me what I've been up to and what I do with my days, and I've given you a different answer, it's because I lied to you. I lied to your face, through my teeth, deliberately and without hesitation. I spent a great deal of time
very concerned, given the actions of my abuser and his parents with whom he lives, that if I answered any question about myself the same way twice, I was, in essence, signing myself up to be stalked and very potentially taken from my own home or from my place of work. And I recognize that my whole core philosophy revolves around love and truth and how those two things go hand in hand, and I will dedicate countless unpaid hours to shining a spotlight on truth, and I am known for manufacturing the most uncomfortable interactions imaginable because I refuse to tell a quote-unquote white lie for the sake of smoothness in a conversation. All of that is true, and yet I have repeatedly told direct lies to people who trust me about my personal life because I'm so concerned that any single piece of updated information about me could be weaponized by somebody to locate where my children sleep. Because this has happened on multiple occasions. It has been years of trying to protect my family from this specific brand of stalking. So yeah, if you've asked me something about myself more than once and I've given inconsistent answers, it's because I'm a liar who lies and I was lying to you. Sorry about it. Okay, yeah, I do journalism, but this isn't journalism, this is just talking, so I'm not gonna wrap this up in a satisfying way. I'm just throwing information at you. I don't have a thesis statement here. If you want to get involved with helping people, please reach out to me. This is the work I've been doing. It's been very effective for my community to have a group of people that you know you can go to that'll just help and not start handing you paperwork to fill out. And if we could use this as a sort of call to action where we use the internet to broaden the network where people pool resources together to help each other, if we can expand the range of people we're able to help to beyond the place that I physically occupy, that would be stellar. I'm thinking about posting an online fundraiser to match our average yearly spending on our missions, if you will, over the past few years, so that we could help more people and more immediately as the numbers of individuals seeking support continues to grow. It's a significant portion of these funds goes towards things like baby items and moving costs and legal fees. That's a good idea, I think. I should post a fundraiser later. When I do that, that's a good idea. When I do that, I will link it in the description. Does anybody have $2 million they're not planning on spending? Could also post one for living expensive for the people who spend the majority time working for Strive and they don't get paid, so it would be cool if some of them could get enough of a chunk of money to share an apartment together instead of couch surfing as the cost of saving people's lives. But no, then that gets into the territory of turning it into a business, I think. I don't know. This isn't my area of expertise. I'm just spitballing. Maybe a separate fund to try to give back very specifically to the people who are doing the most. I don't know. I'm moving on from this idea that isn't even fully formed. If you want to be involved in the act of helping people, helping people in a world that does not want to let people help people, if you want to be involved in a group where everybody can rely on each other and lean on each other, please reach out to me specifically. I will connect you with others because I'm not about to share anybody's names or contact info on this public platform, not after very specifically my friends and family have been stalked and harassed. I'm not saying anything publicly other than the name Strive, which isn't even a legal entity, so it's not as though sharing that name offers a trail for anybody to follow. It's just a club name at this point, effectively. Anyway, if you want to contribute in legitimately any way at all, even if you aren't exactly sure how right now, but you know you want to be there for a community of humans for when your opportunity to help arises, or if you want to receive the help, shoot me a message, please. Getting people connected, building community, left and right, Okay. That's what I've been doing, just to let you know. Okay. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.